shocking and horrific. This is the ultimate of videos I've done in a very long time. Just when you think things can't get more extreme in Canada, you'll find news right now today, right across Canada, completely absorbed in the unaffordability of Canadian housing, energy, and food security. Massive publication over and over, and everyone's going, what's going on? And lo and behold, I get an email last night, pretty late last night, and I took that source of evidence. It's all foreign from the United States intelligence, going through every restricted document or archived document that Canadians can't just easily grab. It's not readily available to you. Somebody has to trigger something to get that document. You need to know the name. And a former ambassador, I'm not going to name him, sent me a pile, and it is shocking, disturbing. I shared all of that relevant information last night. It hasn't really gone out this morning at all, which is no surprise. Canadians love their institutionalization, and it's scary. This email went into 2002 Jean Chrétien and the Johannesburg Protocol. It was a meeting on Sustainable Development Goals 2002 in South Africa. And Canada alone went to the table of all the developed world and presented one only, meaning the only country in the world that presented the idea that mass immigration, colonial style resettlement of people to a country will solve all the issues for growth and sustainability, that you have to recharge the population. That's going to save the countries of the future by massively increasing populations, trying to take the populations of other overpopulated countries and repopulating countries like Canada. That's the economic fix. Folks, there's two economic markers, short-term and long-term, that every country has addressed. And a lot of countries have gone forward with sustainable development. You've heard that. You've seen the Compact Migrant Agreement, all kinds of things. But folks, what you don't know is the short and long-term markers that countries, including Canada, before 2006, before Stephen Harper, would routinely go between short-term economic and long-term economic models. And what that is this. In the short term, when economies are hot, labor is short, countries bring in immigration to supplement unemployment rates. When unemployment is extremely low, companies need people to work, you need skilled labor. The domestic system isn't producing at that pace. Countries will employ larger immigration. Makes sense, right? At those times. But then the economy slows, inflationary markers come, and the brakes get put on. Countries have to put the brakes on immigration and say, listen, we've got to let the domestic system catch up. House production, farming and food production for the new need from the new people you've absorbed into your country. You put the brakes on, and in the long term, you let the country absorb what they took in the short term and set up an infrastructure to match that. Well, Canada, all by itself, presented the Johannesburg Protocol in South Africa in 2002. This was under Jean Chrétien. And they said Well, we're going to keep that short-term marker as our long-term marker. We are going to adapt through sustainable development, all the Agenda 2030 goals, which was Agenda 2021, which was also Agenda 2002. I know a lot of folks don't know this, but this is what happened, and it's in our parliamentary records. It's in all statistics, which I'm going to say right now, from the records I got from this ambassador, this former American ambassador, Maxime Bernier, was absolutely the Privy Council member under Stephen Harper, and at that time was the registrar, governor, or general registrar. What is that? That's a crown-appointed position in the Privy Council who has control of all Canadian records. He or she, and I know most Canadians have never heard of this crown appointment, but it's a major appointment as they're in full control of Statistics Canada and all government records and accounting. They have the power to hide documents, they have the power to archive documents, and they also have the power to dismiss research teams. And it was Maxime Bernier, current People's Party of Canada, who screams out about immigration, is the one who erased and archived all records. Now, many countries have these records. I've just, for the first time, released the archived records that no Canadian, no media has ever released before. Other countries don't archive this. The UN, they don't archive this. I pulled them from the archives. I've re-released it to all of you. And I'm going to explain something that for the first time in Canadian history, starting in 2006, under Stephen Harper's foreign minister on immigration, which for 17 years has not changed, Canada embarked on a 17-year straight mission to only observe short-term economic indicators and adopt them as long-term strategy for immigration. And here's the problem. Canada has run a net deficit in housing, food availability, and as well as energy sustainability for all Canadians. That means that the amount of houses Canada can produce a year at 100% domestic production, unfiltered, unstopped domestic production, meaning what Canadians can produce in homes, energy, and food production a year, did not, and I repeat, has not and did not since 2006 ever match what we took in immigration, meaning starting with Stephen Harper in 2006 under his immigration minister, foreign relations minister. We started aggressively bringing in immigration at the start with a net annual deficit of housing, food, and energy production in Canada of 50,000 human beings, meaning we were taking in 50,000 human beings more than we can sustain, that our domestic infrastructure can sustain, meaning doesn't matter how many Canadians get into housing, how much development you do, you will never be able to produce enough houses, enough electricity, or enough food to sustain 50,000 people more that we took in than we have the ability to generate new housing, new energy, and new sources of food in Canada. Folks, every year that 50,000 people was doubled year after year for the last 17 years straight. Currently, Justin Trudeau has broken half 1 million Canadians new to Canada a year, including refugees to be processed. It's 565,000 when you add up all provincial immigration numbers. Folks, today, 2023, as I give you this video, Canada only Agenda 2006, not adopted by the UN, by any country, zero, none whatsoever, that can only be calculated as mass colonialism world over. The only country in the entire world participating in it. If you think things like the Fraser Institute and many, many other civil societies, Canadian universities, didn't publish this truth, you'd be sadly mistaken. They all did, even in the time of Harper, on the very first year after rollout. All of it suppressed, all of it archived or hidden away from public view by order of the General Registrar, which is a Crown-appointed Privy Council position by the Government of Canada in power. So far we know absolutely all Conservatives and all Liberals are participating in this. On the provincial level, we find all the other parties. They all know the civil society reports. They've all seen it, and they've all lied to you. Every single politician. We are currently now today taking in 350,000 more new Canadians a year than we can supply housing, food, and energy for domestically. It is no accident, through Agenda 2006, Canada's Agenda only 2006, that we are in the situation we are today, and it's never, and I repeat, never going to get better until Canada returns to the brakes on immigration. This was foretold, forecasted from the far right reaches of Conservatives' civil societies to the far left reaches of the left's civil societies. You will find ample, massive publication archived or suppressed from major universities throughout Canada to absolutely civil societies, including the Fraser Institute. And sadly, Taxpayers Federation is there too. They were shut down. Those people were replaced across left and right aisles. Keep it a secret from Canadians. Don't follow the rest of the first world who told you back in 2002 that is not sustainable in any measuring stick of anybody's economic indicators. That there's no way that, as a long-term practicing system in any country, is sustainable. It never fell into sustainable development goals. I don't agree with sustainable development goals, but I definitely see the destructive force of Agenda 2006 in Canada today. And again, I'm going to say it, not found anywhere else in the known world. Only Canada. More on direct comparison to the United States of America, Canadians. Right now, today, from 2006 till today, USA, mighty USA. In 2006, the United States of America was 10.1 times the size of population of Canada. Now, it's only 9 times, a little over 9 times the size of Canada. It's even going to fall below maybe 8.6 by next year. And why? Because of radical immigration. Did you know that Canada in 2006, 10 times the size of the United States less than the size of the United States of America, was funding 50-1 the immigration program. Canadians, today, right now, you are funding nearly 7 times the amount of money that the entirety of the U.S. taxpayer funds on immigration. In fact, we have 2.5 times the employees the United States has. Think about the border crisis with South America. Did you know that Canada has established, under Agenda 2006, 77 field immigration offices throughout the world, 77 country immigration offices, on the most aggressive campaign to attract new immigrants the world has ever seen. Ever in the history of the world. Canada's been doing this and funding it 50-1 against the mighty United States of America. Canadians, for every $1 tax dollar Americans pay in the immigration program, Canadians are paying $50. Radical, out of control, and absolutely explains all of our unsustainable development in the last 17 years. Orchestrated, participated by absolutely the entire Liberal government, entirely all the Conservative governments, and they have never once applied historic brakes that all the other countries in the world apply when the short-term economic conditions change. Canada has refused to apply the brakes. In fact, we spend so much money on this program of unsustainability, it can only be described as a colonial war on all Canadians. And all of the first world, the entire G20, will agree. In fact, you can't find another country in the world to match what Canada is doing and Canada has been doing for the last 17 years. Pierre Poilievre only wants to expand Agenda 2006. Wealthy elite politicians are becoming filthily, stinkingly rich, while all of you are destroyed. Did you know today, running across all media sources, if you're a minimum wage earner in Ontario, there is not a single one-bedroom available for you to rent in the entire GTA? Did you know if you're a minimum wage earner, there's nowhere to rent in the entirety of the greater Vancouver area? Did you know that if you're a minimum wage earner, you can't rent a one-bedroom in Calgary or Edmonton on your wages? In fact, it's so radical, you need to make $29 an hour to rent in the GTA just to live. More than 60% of your income, the average Canadian income, is going into housing alone. Never mind food and energy. Food and energy. You can't be someone who makes less than $32 an hour in Canada and save a penny. Did you know that? Did you know the average Canadian doesn't even make $32 an hour? It's a lie. It's a lie. Look at your taxation. It's unsustainable, radical, first-class development at the absolute destruction of a first world country. Did you know, including the Fraser Institute and many, many civil societies and universities have written and articulated all the predictions we're experiencing today, including up to 2027, where we are no longer recognized by most of the right and most of the left civil societies and highest Canadian institutions going back between 2004 and 2006 on this agenda, 2006, that they say 2027 is the end of the first world status for Canada. Think about that. That's where we're at. This is real, credible. In the link in this title, it's all the archived evidence, including the minister's report. Any Canadian can look at immigration levels, housing production, per person, per capita energy production, and food production domestically Canada in our agricultural sectors, and you will see the net deficit equating to $50,000 a year, starting for the first time in Canadian history in 2006, and running in the longest unsustainable double down effect in immigration year after year for 17 straight years. None of this is an accident. None of this radical cost of living is anything but one policy called Agenda 2006, a presentation at the Johannesburg Protocols of 2006, where only Canada implemented it, Canada presented it, and the world said no. And today, you will not find another country to have as radical agenda like 2006 or anything comparable in the entire world. Truth, reality needs to be shared. This video's got to get out. It's up to you to get it out there. The numbers are credible, real, verifiable, and 100% deadly accurate. More are the reports from the far right and far left. Massive civil societies, many of which are still around today. Professors from many universities in Canada, many of which are no longer employed today. Even of those civil societies, those publishers are no longer in those organizations today. Your crown is to blame. Absolutely, 110%. All your elected and appointed Liberals and Conservatives jointly. At the provincial level, you find NDP right there, non-stop, fully complicit, fully compliant. That's the truth. They're all trying to destroy us through an historical colonial agenda, which was the framework of the British Empire of old, as well as 6 other world empires that no longer exist, that are only enacted and followed, at least since 2006, by the country known as Canada, by all the Crown political parties. And I'm sorry, Justin Trudeau, Pierre Poilievre, doesn't matter. They're following this agenda. They crafted, they participated in, they voted through. You will find Pierre Poilievre was complicit, compliant, and was there for the absolute creation of this agenda, voting it through and following it for all of his years as a Privy Council member. Thank you, everybody. That's my video. Share, 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 because your children, your grandchildren, your great-grandchildren have not a leg to stand on in this country. They have no future, none of our children, if we allow this economic system to go another year, another day forward. We're falling. In as little as 3 years' time, we're done, and there's no coming back. There's no way to generate the housing needed. There's no way to generate the food needed. There's no way to generate the energy needed. Unsustainable, absolutely, by absolutely 99.9% of the rest of the countries in the world. They will all tell you it is not sustainable. Nobody knows why Canada adopted that, except for autocratic politicians to get filthily, stinkily rich and watch you all destroyed. There's no rhyme or reason to it. Thank you. That's my video. Share, share, share. Click on the link. The evidence is real. There is the Agenda 2006 created by the Government of Canada, specifically under Stephen Harper, designed and manufactured by Jean Chrétien and his party. Thank you. Bye now.